Good evening, friends. We're going to continue reading passages from Inner Work of Avodat Hashem, the teachings of Rav Ashlag. We're on page 75. The Bala Sulam writes that every facet of Judaism is comprised of two contradicting aspects. This is because we are made of body and soul. Therefore, every aspect of spiritual work contains two opposites. If we do not find two opposing aspects in our spiritual work, it is a sign that we are not going in a true way. So I'm just going to say I don't completely understand this passage, also not understanding its particular context, but I'm going to give my opinion about what it might be speaking about. And that is to say, all of these recordings have been my opinion. I wouldn't claim to be an expert or to know exactly what the Rav or the Rebbe or any of the teachers, the rabbis and the Rav Ashlag teachings are saying. So every facet of Judaism is comprised of two contradicting aspects. Because we are made of body and soul, every aspect of spiritual work contains these two opposites. If we do not find these two opposing aspects in our spiritual work, it's a sign we're not going in a true way. Okay, so every facet of Judaism having body and soul, right? So there's a physical component to the practice. There's a physical component that is in the material plane, in the world of asiyah, of action. And there's a soul aspect, which is the light. There's the body, which is the vessel. And then there's the light, which is the or. And so the physical aspect is how we bring the light in, right? So let's say wearing tzitzit, which are the fringes on the corners of the garments. It's a very physical experience. It's material, it's cloth, it's clothing. And you put it on your body and then you see it and it's tangible. But what it represents is a reminder about how everything is God and why we're actually here. It's like, you could also understand it like the japa beads. It's like it's a way to focus the mind on being present to the reality of God in all times. So if you just put it on because it says so in the Torah, then that's lacking the soul aspect. It's lacking the light, the connection to the divine, the true purpose of the commandment. So that's where you're not having the two opposing factors, the thing that is in the material world that is finite and the thing that is in the spiritual world that is infinite. So every aspect of spiritual work contains both the kli and the or, the physical aspect and the light, the spiritual aspect. If we do not find the two opposing aspects in our spiritual work, it's a sign we're not going in a true way. That's how I'm understanding it. It could be wrong. It could be pointing to something else as well. Anything more on that? It's the same thing with saying a blessing. So a blessing, even though it's, you might think that it's not tangible, but it is because it's spoken from the body. It's with vocal cords. It's a vibration in the world of materiality. And at the same time, it has a spiritual connection, right? So it's there again also to call in connection to the divine, to recognize that like this food that I'm eating is of divine nature, right? And so if I pause and I say a blessing, I'm saying a blessing in the physical reality that's connecting me to the soul reality, the spiritual reality. Again, that's how I'm understanding it. True Emunah is a spiritual light that we receive from God. This light is given, A, to one who is making effort to attain the divine attributes of compassion and giving. This is the work of the heart. And B, to one who is making effort to go beyond understanding, believing that everything God does is for the good. This is the work of the mind. So true Emunah is a spiritual light, like we've talked about, the highest light of the highest soul world, soul level. Just looking at the Hebrew. So true Emunah is a spiritual light that we receive from God. This light of embodied faith, this light of revelation of God's oneness, the divinity within all of creation. And this light is given to one who is making effort to attain the divine attributes of compassion and giving. So one who is emulating the Creator in regards to compassion and giving. And the Rav says that this is the work of the heart. When we're trying to transform our heart to be open to feeling compassion for others and giving to others. Also, the Emunah is a bridge to recognizing that we are not separate. Other people are not separate from us. In fact, they are an extension of us. We're all connected in a web of unity. And so the work of Emunah in the heart level is to be transforming one's desire to receive to a desire to give, and to a desire of compassion, an attribute of compassion for others as being extensions of oneself, and wanting what is good for them because it's good for us, not in a selfish way, but in a way that it's literally the person is an extension of our being. So what's good for them is good for us retroactively. And B, this Emunah is also given to those who are working to go beyond understanding, right? Go beyond knowledge, just into the realm of knowing and direct experience, and going into the realm of Emunah, of belief, embodied faith. That they're going beyond the mind and the direct experience and going to a place of Emunah, of believing that everything God does is for the good, that everything is coming from God and is directed by God and is at its core for the good, which again is very hard for us to understand. And when we look at the world at face value, but going deeper in, we can understand that, in fact, everything is here for the good, because it is all meant to be rectified at some point. So even the most horrible of acts are going to be rectified in some way, and the light will come back into them where the light has left. Where we experience darkness, it's the opportunity and the possibility for light to come back in. And so that is the greatest blessing, to be able to return light into a place where it's lacking. And just to conclude that is the work of the mind, right? The first was the work of the heart, and this place of going beyond understanding is the work of the mind, even though in a way it's sort of transcending the mind. And it says, Dahainu latzdik et habore lamala mehadat, which means beyond knowledge, beyond understanding. Yeah. Okay. Our main spiritual work is in the realms of thought, speech, and action. If we work on ourselves to think, speak, and act as though we were in the presence of God, then God helps us to feel the presence of God, right? So again, this is similar passage as previous ones. Our main spiritual work is in the realms of thought, speech, and action. Right? And if we work on ourselves in these three realms to think, speak, and act as though we were in the presence of God, if we're working with our emunah to be thinking, speaking, and acting as if we were in the presence of God, even if we don't feel we're in the presence of God, then God directly helps us feel the presence of God. That is sort of the equation for feeling the presence of God when you're not feeling the presence of God, is to act as though, through emunah, in your thought, speech, and action. Unconditional love is a state of love that is not based on what we are receiving, but comes from realization of God's exaltedness and perfection, even if it became known that God is not going to give anything. The love for God would be the same. So unconditional love is a state of love not based on what we are receiving, right? It's unconditional. It's not based on the condition of receiving something in return. And we're talking about unconditional love for God here. So unconditional love is not based on receiving something in return conditionally, but it comes from the realization of God's exaltedness and perfection. Meaning that we come into a state of unconditional love by recognizing God's awesomeness and the perfection of the Creator and the perfection of the creation, the core perfection that runs throughout all of creation. That creation is moving in a direction